This is things I wish I could say in Sunday school. I want to share some thoughts and ideas that are different than what we usually hear. My goal is to be really honest rather than inherently faith-promoting. I hope these ideas may spark some interesting discussions with your friends, families, or classes. Please enjoy. This is the lesson for August 12th through 18th, Alma chapters 43 through 52. Today's topics are more population math and Captain Moroni's character. I have to talk about population math again because I can't help myself. The last time I brought this up was Mosiah chapter 25, verses 2 and 3. I'm going to read those verses. Now there were not so many of the children of Nephi, or so many of those who were descendants of Nephi, as there were of the people of Zarahemla, who was a descendant of Mulek, and those who came with him into the wilderness. And there were not so many of the people of Nephi and of the people of Zarahemla, as there were of the Lamanites. Yea, they were not half so numerous. The date for these verses is estimated about 120 BC. Contrast that with Alma chapter 43, verses 13 and 14, which is estimated around 74 BC. And I'll read those. And the people of Ammon had given to the Nephites a large portion of their substance to support their armies, and thus the Nephites were compelled alone to withstand against the Lamanites, who were a compound of Laman and Lemuel, and the sons of Ishmael, and all those who had descended from the Nephites, who were Amalekites and Zoramites, and the descendants of the priests of Noah. Now those descendants were as numerous nearly as were the Nephites, and thus the Nephites were obliged to contend with their brethren even into bloodshed. It seems like around 120 BC, the population of all the people that comprise the Nephites is less than half of all the people that comprise the Lamanites. I went into greater detail in a previous episode about how that doesn't make any sense. Now, less than 50 years later, it says that the population of the Lamanites is almost as great as the population of the Nephites. It doesn't add up. It also doesn't make sense because the Nephites win most of these battles by a large margin. And it always mentions how great the numbers are of the Lamanite armies. Now I'm moving on to discuss Captain Moroni. I am not a fan. I know that most people in the church put him on a pedestal and think he's great. I am going to lay out my criticisms of Captain Moroni, and then I'm going to discuss why Mormon might have been a fanboy. I am fine with Moroni using strategy in war. I don't feel like he was duplicitous. I do think Moroni was really self-righteous, long-winded, did not read the room or adapt to his audiences at all. He expected others to bend to his will, and he was unwilling to compromise. I think he had anger issues. Several times it mentions actions Moroni takes in his wrath. Even though it says several times that he did not delight in bloodshed, I don't think that's entirely true. When I read about him, I don't think he loves war. I do think he would have been content if the Lamanites never invaded. But I get the feeling that he did get some satisfaction in the deaths of dissenters. There's a finality to it. I also think it made him feel justified and validated. Captain Moroni is really prone to speechifying. He does this in his first battle, in Alma chapter 44, verses 1 through 7. He does it in his epistles. He does it when he raises the title of liberty. He speechifies a lot. Moroni's first round of executing dissenters is in Alma chapter 46, verse 35. I find this to be a disturbing account. The dissenters don't believe in the church. The church and the government are very intertwined. These dissenters are inflamed by a megalomaniac, Amalekiah, but in my eyes, they committed no crime that could incur a death sentence. They are essentially executed for holding beliefs that differ from the church and government. This is wrong. In Alma 48, I feel like Mormon does some major editorializing of Captain Moroni's virtues. I'm going to read parts of verses 11 through 13 and verse 17. And Moroni was a strong and a mighty man. He was a man of perfect understanding, yea, a man that did not delight in bloodshed. Yea, and he was a man who was firm in the faith of Christ, and he had sworn with an oath to defend his people, his rights, and his country, and his religion, even to the loss of his blood. Yea, verily, verily, I say unto you, if all men had been, and were, and ever would be like unto Moroni, behold, the very powers of hell would have been shaken forever. Yea, the devil would never have power over the hearts of the children of men. What stands out to me is how much this sounds like hyperbole. There's a shadow side to being so firm in your beliefs, and that is not being open to others' beliefs. If you're so sure that you're right, you're also so sure that anyone who differs from you at all is wrong. Alma chapter 51 has another round of dissenters. Moroni seeks out permission to compel the dissenters to defend their country or put them to death, and he gets that permission. It says that 4,000 Nephiite dissenters were killed and others were imprisoned. They seem really proud that they completely decimated this dissension by death or otherwise. I am not a complete pacifist, but I cannot see my heavenly parents condoning killing like this. I am going to shift gears now and speculate how Mormon might view Captain Moroni. When I think about Mormon and the description of his life, I feel like I understand better why he describes Captain Moroni with such admiration. It seemed like Mormon's people were always at war and they were losing. In fact, Mormon sees the complete destruction of his people. His people were not described as being particularly faithful. I could see Mormon reading about Captain Moroni and thinking that someone like him could have turned Mormon's wars around. I could see Mormon thinking that Captain Moroni's extreme tactics were admirable and got results. I could see lots of people looking at how certain Captain Moroni is that he's just and finding that compelling. Mormon also names his son Moroni. Not only does Captain Moroni get some of the most extreme praise of any Book of Mormon character, but Mormon also names his firstborn son after him. I am not personally a fan of Captain Moroni. I don't think he was good at empathizing with people. I don't see a lot of Jesus Christ in his character. I see him as having a really, really difficult time with anyone not supporting him 100%. It seems like he wasn't good at collaboration. He had difficulties with Behoren. I don't think Captain Moroni really respected agency. He would prefer compelling everyone to follow him than allowing everyone to choose for themselves. And if your choice is follow me or death, that's not really a choice. Captain Moroni had some good qualities too, but I don't think he deserves anywhere close to the praise that he usually gets in this lesson. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Please share with family and friends. Until next time.